We are now to action. 13, action is necessary on appropriate matters discussed in executive session. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I have a motion.
Okay.
I would like to make the motion that we approve the selected employment items shown on Exhibit A for action.
Is there a second? Ms. Huddle seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that is 7 to no opposed. Any other motions as necessary from discussed in executive session? Mr. Hogan.
Chairwoman Hammond, I'd like to make the motion that the board directs their attorney to dismiss case number 2021-CP-32-03699.
Is there a second? Ms. Huddle seconds. Now, for discussion.
Yes, I have something I'd like to say.
You want to say it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. When the board authorized this lawsuit, Dr. Hefner had attacked the district's accreditation by sending an unfounded complaint to the accreditation agency, Cognia. After the filing of this lawsuit, Cognia has taken no action and has stated that it will not take action. As a result, the lawsuit is no longer necessary to protect the school district's accreditation. Resources can better be used to pursue its purpose, the board's purpose of educating children. We hope Dr. Hefner will join us and dismiss his counterclaim so that no more resources are spent on this lawsuit.
Any other statements? I would like to just say that you know, I agree with your statement, and I have been very disappointed in someone, a former superintendent, to make a complaint that was unfounded and then released to the public without contacting the current superintendent for an explanation or with the concerns. But I totally agree that we do not need to continue to spend one more penny on something that we feel like it needs to be resolved, and hopefully it will bring community members together. So if anybody has anything to say, or we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of dropping this lawsuit? And that is 7 to no opposed. And we have one more, Ms. Huddle, I think. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And for item 3G, I move that we ask the district's attorney to request all records of Attorney Michael Montgomery for work conducted for the district.
Is there a second? Ms. Moore seconds. All right. You want to explain that? Or
Ms. Huddle, I believe you said 3G,
Did I
but
say
it
it
should
wrong?
be
I
3F.
apologize.
Okay.
Let me
So
amend.
can I make an amendment?
Yes.
That
Yes, ma'am.
we amend Ms.
Yes.
Huddle's motion to be 3F, legal advice regarding requests for attorney records?
yes, it's F. Correct. Second that motion. So now we'll vote on that amendment. All those in favor? And that is 7-0, and then we'll go back to the original.
Yeah, it just that
Thank you.
he is no longer, he tendered his resignation and no longer with the district, advising the district. So we'd like our attorney to have access to those records.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? And that is 7 to 0 opposed. Thank you. And I think that takes care of everything in executive session. Now discussion. 14, local board approved course, senior internship, course code 5499, offering for the 2022-2023 school year, Exhibit D. You want to take that, Dr. Ross?
Yes, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Miller to explain this as discussion, but we wanted to put this on the discussion item before action, so if you can explain our intent.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Chair Hammond, Board, Dr. Ross, thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight to discuss this local board approved course and code number. I also want to say thank you to Ms. Charity Simmons, who is in the audience. She's our coordinator of CTE programs here in District 5, and for her work behind all of this. So tonight, our discussion centers around the need for a course and course code for senior internships for our work-based learning credit. South Carolina Department of Education requires CTE internship work-based credit-bearing courses meet criteria. There are 3 criteria in there. The main one that I want to share with you now is that it must be 120 hours for that work-based learning credit. And while we offer that course and that code number, and that opportunity for our students, we also offer other opportunities for our internship experiences for our students that perhaps don't meet all three of those criteria, specifically the 120 hours. Sometimes those are 60 or 90 hours. And so currently we do not have a course code in our system that would allow a student to receive credit for work-based learning that's less than that or that doesn't meet those three state-based criteria. Therefore, and we currently have students who are ready to do that opportunity, as Dr. Ross talked about, through our First Jobs program. And so that's why it's important for us to create that this year to be able to continue to offer those opportunities to our students and to have the appropriate course and course code. And so that's our discussion item for tonight. And as Dr. Ross said, we can discuss or answer any questions tonight, and then we'll bring it forward for action at our next meeting.
Okay, great. You had a
I
question?
have a question, yeah, Ms. Miller. Some of the students that we have do have soft skills before they're seniors. And I wanted to know, is there any allowance for, say you had a sophomore that had those skills and could, be classed out with workman's compensation and so forth so that they could get, part of their 120 hours done earlier than on a senior basis? Is there any avenue for that to happen? Or is it,
So there are lots of different avenues in CTE, and so I'm going to let Ms. Simmons answer that
I
question.
saw her coming up there. She
We
needed
do
an
have
answer. I could-
opportunities. There are just so many specifications within that CTE and work-based learning.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Ross, and thank you, Ms. Miller, for providing me with this opportunity tonight. To answer your question about the other opportunities, there are a lot of different opportunities that fall under the work-based learning and internship criteria for CTE, which stands for Career and Technology Education. When reviewing those criteria and thinking about the students that may not meet that eligibility, one of the reasons is we want to target those students, as Dr. Ross stated, that do not have the opportunity to enroll in those courses because of the fact that they may not meet the qualifications of the traditional work-based learning credit. So this internship will give those students those other opportunities to meet those needs. We also have other indicators that will make students that are career ready, such as taking the ASVAB, that will help them to become career ready. One of the biggest things that we look at when looking at college and career readiness is our students' test scores that they make on the SAT and ACT. Also, advanced placement test scores can also help them to be college and career ready. So there are a lot of different avenues so that they can meet those indicators. So it's just not isolating one student or a group of students. Does that answer your question, Mr. Lovelace?
I think so. What I'm mainly interested in is hearing, those of us that grew up in another era, we had fathers that that put us to work in different jobs and things. We had worked summers and so forth. And now you can't do that because you have all the requirements for workman's compensation and all. And it strikes me that the younger that we get folks involved in our students involved in the process, the more successful we're going to be, because if you wait 3 years, other things can get in the way. So getting kids when they're ready, to be a part of something is very important. And I just didn't want to see us necessarily have to wait till somebody was a senior. That's what I was trying to.
And I definitely agree with you on that. And that's one of the reasons why we have our career development facilitators. And one of the things that they do with our students is work with job shadowing. And so that students can have the opportunity to go out into the field and see what it's like to be in that specific career area.
Ms. Gardner?
Can you, I mean, all of this seems very broad to me, and specifically the course code just says senior internship. Can you give me some specific examples of what this would cover? Because I know we have like media technology has some internships they do, but I don't know if this is covered under this or if it's already accredited or if there's construction. Like what specifically is this covering?
So at each of our high schools, we have a course code that's already on our books called 5490, and that course code is coded for senior internship. That particular course goes along with the business management course code, so therefore we cannot use that course code for our senior internship. That is why we have came to the board tonight to ask for recommendations and approval for the 5499 course code so that we can be in compliance with the Department of Education with that course code of 5499. This is currently an inactive course code that we have on file, and so hopefully you guys will take some time and review a little bit more of the information that we've provided with you guys and make a determination at the next meeting. Does that?
So while just to make sure I'm clear.
I want some specific
Right.
examples,
So
yeah.
while
And
this,
with
I'm sorry, while this code here will for this is CTE internship, correct? Ms. Simmons?
correct.
So which is different from our kind of academic internship. And I think what happens when we approve it in our designation, it may be first jobs. But for our coding on the state level, they don't care about first jobs with that name. We know that in District 5, it will be internship with the CTE designation. Is that correct?
So the 5490, let me make sure I have my numbers correct. The 5490 that we currently use is that. The 5499 would not be the CTE, but it would be work-based credit-bearing course. It just wouldn't be that CTE. It could still lead to completers and career-ready, but it would not be the designation of the CTE. And you're correct, Ms. Gardner, we have different course codes for the different areas. So as Ms. Simmons was saying, the 5490 is more of a business one. And so depending on what the internship is, in accordance with their IGP, they would have the appropriate course number
Is that
or
good?
course code number.
Anybody else? Any questions? And you'll bring this to us for a vote.
Correct. I think what we would like to do, Ms. Simmons, is start enrolling some of the students in, so we would, pending approval of the board, and we could, and my hope is that we would work on that 558. We'll start seeing in October the release of school report card data. We'll see what school district CCR rate is, and we need to get active so that we're ahead of the game on the college and career numbers for our district. So we appreciate these questions. We'll bring it back again with some of the clarity of the questions you've asked tonight, and look for approval.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Then we will go to item 15, proposed revisions to 2016-2021 capital funds, Exhibit E.
All right, so thank you, Ms. Simmons, thank you, Ms. Miller. Now we bring forth our building team here, and we are looking at, the board has approved us to go back and get all the unencumbered funds from capital assignments from 2016 to 2021. You approved that to go out into projects. Our team here, Mr. Knott and Mr. Wiseman, have looked at some items that we feel that we can forego on, reallocate those funds, and so I'll bring it to Mr. Wiseman to walk us through that reallocation.
I'm happy to, sir. Madam Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Ross, and community members, thank you for allowing me this opportunity. Since I've been here over the last 2.5 months, Dr. Ross and the Facilities Committee have worked with me in hopes of finding ways that we can continue improving the facilities that we have in the district. Al and I have looked through some requests that you approved from the 2016-2021 capital projects, and there were 3 that stood out as not necessarily needed at this time, just based on the direction that the district is going. And what we would like to do is just recommend that we reallocate or have the opportunity to reallocate some of that money. And I'm just going to go through a couple of the projects just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So currently, these are some of the completed capital projects that you'd allowed us to do with the capital money. Again, I have made it as simple as I could for me. I've rounded everything up just so that there's no mathematical errors at this time. We'll have a detailed list of those items that we do once they're completed, or in this case, these are completed, and we have an understanding of where we're at with the capital budget, remaining capital budget. So those are the ones that have completed. We got a lot of work done during the summer. Got some updates with some of the schools in Flooring and some other things. We're real proud that we were able to do so. These are some of the ones that are still in progress. We stopped by Chapin High School today to look at the new practice field lighting. They've got the rebar in, waiting to pour concrete so they can put the generator or the transformer in, hopefully by mid-October, so it'll be up and running before it starts getting dark out there. But that's going along well. Playground equipment at Harbison West and some additional equipment at the Kate, here at the Kate and at Adult Ed. We're still working on that one, trying to get a good bid for that particular project. But these are the three that we believe that going forward we can reallocate that money from the 1621 capital to do other projects. It's a total of $2.45 million. These are their individual costs. This is, of course, the total. And what we would like to do, as we've spoken many times about life safety projects here in the last couple months, we want to start addressing some of those that were not previously funded. We believe that this money will allow us to do a couple of things. These two right here are just some that we recently discovered. We went ahead and we want to go ahead and address those two issues specifically, just to add security to both of those schools. Some of the ADA requirements that we had on board are underfunded. We funded $50,000 for the Seven Oaks. Right now, the current estimate is $67,500. Same thing with Spring Hill. It's underfunded. Again, utilizing this capital money, we'll be allowed to complete those projects given your approval. There's a new one. During the summer, we identified some ADA needs at Dutch Fork Elementary that we're like to go ahead and address. Some of them we took care of in-house. There's a couple of them that we would rather go outside and make sure we do the right curb cuts that meet ADA compliance. So those are the estimated costs that we have on those areas right now. I'm happy to say that we should be able to start working on the vestibules. As you know, that project was kind of put on hold, but based on the use of this capital money, there's at least 3. Dutch Fork Elementary is a misprint, so I'll have to go back and correct that. But we believe that we can at least go ahead and start at Irma High School or Irma Elementary, Seven Oaks, and Crossroads with this capital money and start getting those quotes in so we can work on getting those started. And I think going back and look at it, we should be also able to look at Dutch Fork Elementary and get those vestibules done. At the same time, while we're doing those vestibules, you know, we talked about doing alarms on the exterior doors. In looking at those over the last week, I think we started looking at those. We actually think we can come up with a different product that would actually be a little bit cheaper. But that's what we had to work with. As we do the security upgrades with the vestibules, we'd like to go ahead and address that school that we're working in and get both items out of the way, get the alarms on the back doors, exterior doors, and also get the vestibules done. So again, that money to reallocate will allow us to do so. But I think we can get that price point down probably by half. I ordered actually something online from Amazon that was supposed to be here this weekend I could play with. Hopefully, if it works on my house and it's my money. I just want to see how well it works, and it might be something we can at least look at and go forward with utilizing. One of the things that we've done, as you know, if you had a chance to go to Dutch Fork High School and look at the track, it's beautiful, or excuse me, the turf. The track is a work in progress. are in process. We originally allocated some money to have that torn up and readdressed or resurfaced while the track or the turf was going on. We had to delay some of that just because of shipping concerns and work concerns. However, when the vendor came back and did the soil or the test, we had what we thought was 3 to 4 inches of solid ground underneath it as far as the asphalt. However, when they actually stripped it all off, there are potholes throughout that whole track. To cover up the potholes and just resurface it would not give us the warranty period that we believe we should have. The best thing for us to do is go ahead and scrape it all the way down to the gravel, then resurface it with the right amount of asphalt all the way around, and then go back and resurface the track itself. So in order to do so, right now the estimate is basically $100,000 under budget. We're meeting with the track folks tomorrow to get a better understanding of what that looks like. But we have a short timeline right now to get this back into shape before it becomes winter. At a certain temperature, it's not good to asphalt. It's not good to lay the actual covering to the track on this. So we're going to look at that and try to get that expedited. Again, with your approval, we'll bring that exact amount back to you, hopefully by the next board meeting. But we also want to be able to make sure we can get a firm commitment from the track installers to get that done. Oh, the sound system. Yes. As you know, you allocated $50,000 for each stadium to get sound systems. In looking at Dutch Fork, and the reason why the aerial picture is there, Dutch Fork is unique to the other schools. The other schools do not have a track around the football field, which gives you a greater distance for the sound to carry over across the field to the visitor side. So it would need an upgrade to that particular system in order to make it as compatible or compatible with the other two stadiums. And one of the things I like to do is as you know, the Palmetto Woods area right now is a holding area for a lot of stuff that we're trying to get off and off our property and sold to the general public as needed. But we are growing within inside the department by getting a student nutrition person. And right now I have an office space that we're using for storage. We believe that with about $60,000, we can put a decent shed that's climate controlled and safe and secure, so we can put that stuff in there and bring some of the computer equipment out of the Palmetto Woods to get it back into an environment that's a little bit safer before everything else before it starts to rain harder and that gets wet. So we're asking for about $60,000 to build a 30 by 40 shed. As you're facing the warehouse, it would be to the left. We can fit it in there, put electricity in there, a small HVAC system in there, so we can make sure that everything's climate controlled as well. But it'll also keep it inside the lock fence inside our area, make it a lot more secure. That'll free up a place where we can actually put 2 offices in there. I just hate to use an office space as a storage place. Again, those are some of the things that we were talking about. We believe that, again, there's some estimates in this on our part. We still got to go out and get some bids, but we believe that we can get a lot done with your permission with that $2.4 million. More importantly, we can get ahead of the vestibule and the security issues, as well as maintain some good solid ground with the ADA stuff. Yes, sir. Oh.
Well,
I'm sorry.
This out of order stuff, you know.
I'm just ready to go.
Are you ready for questions?
Yes,
I was fixing to ask before Mr. Lovelace started. I know, but it's his fault. It's not Mr. Lovelace's fault. I get it.
I'm ready to hit the ground running, so.
No, you're hitting the right, and no, this is good. I like to see this kind of thinking and putting the money where we most need it, Mr. Lovelace.
No, I just wanted to say, I thank Dr. Ross and you, Mr. Wiseman, and you, Mr. Knotts. You guys answered the bell because after the tragedy in Texas, we started, this board had its facilities committee, and thank you to the members of the committee also, ask you to, to look at situations in an expedited manner. And y'all have done that. I know there's some resources here, like $613,000 maybe, that might be left so we can put it toward vestibules. But that single point of entry is very important, and I thank you for looking. I guess this is triage. You're looking at the worst first and then moving to the, to the better situations. So.
Yes, sir, and, some of them are a little bit higher, so, we'd have to come back with, additional funding. But those we can get, they're under the $50,000 requirement coming back to the board. So I want to get those addressed quickly, so that we've got something going on. Those are the areas I think that need it the most. The larger projects are obviously we're going to have to bid out and get some architect and engineers involved in that. But I'm excited about getting some of these literally up and running, so we can say that we're moving forward with our security plan.
Did you find any new air conditioner units over there at the storage place?
What we are going to do, and we talked with Madison earlier today and last week, we're going to bring to her some air conditioner upgrades that are going to be allowed us to use the ESSER funds.
Yes.
So we're specifically looking right now at security and ADA requirements. I think those are our top priority. And then with the use of ESSER funds, we'll be able to start doing some HVAC systems too.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Huddle.
I was just curious, are these going to be bid out like each one individually or as one lump sum or somewhere in between?
They'll each be bid out individually. We want to do a line item. It gives us a little bit more flexibility. Obviously, it allows us to come back to you and give you specific details. So we're going to, the ones that we can do under the 50,000, we like to go ahead and get started on, and we can start looking at some of the exterior door locks, trying to find the right system for our particular needs. But we'd like to go ahead and start looking at the ones we can. But anything over the $50,000, right, is the requirement to come back to the board and bring you the details for your authorization.
I have a follow-up, if that's all right. Are you guys finding that we get a decent number of bids? Or, you know what I'm saying? Are we popular? If you put something out there, do we get at least 3 or 4 or not?
Based on the last couple of contracts that I've been involved with, no, ma'am. It's not that we're not popular. It's just that not a lot of people are bidding on some of the things that are out there. And I'm not sure it's just regional, whether it's just, what it is. But if you put out a bid for, say, $500,000 or $1 million and you're only getting 2 or 3 people bidding on it, it really limits you to your opportunities to pick the best contractor.
Well, and that's kind of why I asked, and we may well be doing this, but I would encourage us to find every place we can and not limit where we post things, because I know I'm retired now, but in my old business, a lot of things you had to register for, and if you weren't already registered, you didn't know about it until it was too late. And I just want to make sure we're getting enough people bidding on things.
That's a good idea. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions? I had one, the shed, I think that it was down for 60,000. Would that be on the property?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be right beside.
I was going to say, where?
Yes, ma'am. Right beside the warehouse, where the trash can is right now.
Okay.
There's enough space to put it there. It's close enough that if we have to move stuff around, we can do so. We have a forklift there. So it's going to be a concrete slab, again, with an HVAC system in there, a split unit will actually go in there just to make sure that when we're in there working, we're comfortable and it's secure and dry.
That's truly been a concern about things that we had storage in certain places, like you said, that are not suited either temperature-wise, with expensive equipment, or whether it's, I can remember they put us through I know as board members, we all did sort of a tour of how badly we needed this kind of space.
And getting that, especially electronic equipment there in a safe, dry place is yes, really to our advantage, so we're not losing money. At the same time, whatever happens in the future, this particular location does not disrupt any future plans that we might have for the district. So,
thank you.
Again, we appreciate the facility committee for working with us on this, but we're ready to go.
Good. Y'all are doing a great job. We appreciate it. Any other questions? Okay, we're at number 16, Mr. Hogan.
I'll take this, Ms. Hammond.
Okay, you got it, you got
I'd like
it.
to make the motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second? Ms. Blackburn-Hines seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? And that is 7-0, and meeting adjourned.